Liberty Fighters Network.
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 Liberty Fighters Network. Liberty Fighters Network.
Good day, liberators and fellow South Africans. I'm making this video with a very heavy heart, and I didn't want it to get to this point, but when you hear and listen to everything I've got to say up till the end, you will understand why it was necessary. And please do so. Listen to the complete video, and you make up your own mind. You decide which position you're going to be in. And if it does result in Liberty Fighters Network losing supporters, that's okay. I also believe that that we will also gain supporters in the same sense, because of the fact that in accordance with a video that I've made a couple of days back, our 10 guiding principles, which I believe sets us apart from many other organizations out there, I think that this video will also emphasize our credibility and trustworthiness to be totally transparent for the organization we have become to known for. So yes, people, you are well aware of the fact that I don't have much time to be on social media, and unlike other people, we're actually doing things for which we can give you proof, and you can even verify that by just doing some searches on the internet, whether you use Google or DuckDuckGo or whichever platform, doesn't matter. You will find that what I tell you correlates with what the facts are. And, when, unfortunately, we've been also informed and showed that Mr. Johann Roodt, who is a well-known anti-corruption activist, he crept into our hearts. We gave him our full support from Liberty Fighters Network side as well. And what transpired the past 2 weeks or so just made me to come to the conclusion that that I don't think, from my perspective, that Mr. Johann Roodt can be trusted anymore. I label him as controlled opposition, and I will give you my reasons why I'm saying so. And you can verify that with a decent search if need be, if I don't provide you with the necessary proof. So at the end of the day, it's such a regrettable situation whereby people or organizations which are supposed to be allies, suddenly they turned out to be foes. And you know what Johann Roodt did was that we were allies, and just like in a sort of Hitler way, turning on his ally Russia, and we know what the consequences for the Nazis were. In the same sense, Johann Roodt turned against Liberty Fighters Network, notwithstanding that I gave him the opportunity to discuss his issues and sort it out. We were bound to have a meeting on Friday the 9th and discuss his concerns one-to-one. And unfortunately, in an email that he bombarded everyone with, hundreds of people at the end of the day, and making wild accusations against Liberty Fighters Network, and specifically members of our bank repossession team. When you read and when you go through the 10 guiding principles that I've made the video of a couple of days, you are open to follow any of those principles and bring us to justice. And notwithstanding that I've invited Mr. Johann Roodt to make his allegations live on a live stream of his choice and ask those questions directly to me, and I've even gone as far to say that I'm even prepared to undergo a polygraph test. He has declined to accept those invitations. So where's his proof? He's making wild allegations that Mr. Herman Dormel and another advocate that we've approached that we believe is totally above the board, Advocate Jennings, who is a senior advocate. He also served or apparently served as an acting judge before, and he was also the head magistrate of the Pinetown Magistrates Court for about 10 years or so, have I been informed. Yeah, he worked on this one case of Mrs. Kim Meren, free of charge, pro bono, just like Herman Dormel did. And Herman even went as far as giving money, financial assistance from his pension. He's a 70-odd-year-old person. And he gave money when Mrs. Kim Meren needed money for when she didn't have any. And, this is one of those occasions whereby you've assisted someone, and at the end of the day, they just threw everything back at you. And, let me start off with that. In our work, when we work, especially with bank repossession cases, either for a home or for a vehicle, all of them, I haven't found any one of them which does not have the one or other element of crime attached to it. And especially when houses become involved, though the value of it exceed 100,000 rand. So technically speaking, or theoretically, when there's crime involved, theft or corruption of an amount of more than 100,000 rand, you are supposed to report it to the DPCI, the Directive of Priority Crimes Investigation, also called the Hawks, and they need to then investigate it. Strangely enough, so technically speaking, all these cases that we work on should actually be technically reported to the DPCI. But how we operate as Liberty Fighters Network is that knowing well, and this is so important for everyone to know that, it's much better to start off with a civil case, which is adjudicated on a balance of probabilities, rather than pursuing a criminal case from the word go, which is judged on beyond reasonable doubt. Those two concepts of balance of probabilities and beyond a reasonable doubt, the proof that you have to provide is much greater for a criminal case. There must be beyond reasonable doubt before the court can find you guilty. So from our perspective, it makes just more sense to pursue civil cases until we finished with it, and then at the end of the day go and open the criminal case. I've got experience with opening criminal cases, and then it just goes to dust, and then you struggle with civil matters because you were actually too quick to open the criminal cases, and then where the civil case could have been utilized to get much more evidence, which you can ultimately use on your criminal case. That opportunity goes to waste. And the further problem is that everyone just needs to take in mind is that once someone is, the evidence that you present is not sufficient to find someone guilty of a crime, you cannot, and the court acquits that person, or the charges are withdrawn in court against those individuals or entities. You cannot pursue them again for the same crime. Then it's done and dusted. So for us as Liberty Fighters Network, we need to get all the facts together in civil cases. Then we even go as far when the opportunity comes that we before the High Court, and then after the court then has adjudicated the possibility of elements of fraud and corruption involved, we ask the court, the High Court, which is the only one capable of making such an order, to refer the matter for further criminal investigation by the Director of Public Prosecutions. And if legal practitioners are involved, we will also request the court to refer the matter for further investigation to the Legal Practice Council. So I hope that procedure makes a lot of sense. But what happened in the Kim Meren case, Johann Roodt started to say he became involved because Kim Meren started to give him information, and she was someone who was representing herself with the guidance of Herman Dormel specifically. And at the end of the day, Kim, in many aspects, Kim, after specific instructions have been given to her what to do and how to do it, because Herman was sitting in Pretoria and she was in the coastal KZN coast area, it wasn't possible for Herman to be there, so he had to remotely assist her without charging 1 cent for that work. So at the end of the day, Kim Meren was the one signing off all the information, and in her matter, her court file had been misplaced in inverted commas, but it was evident from the intensity of the suspected crime involved. If I were the bank, and in this case Standard Bank, I would have gone out of my way to get rid of the court file as well. every time. We had to replace or Kim had to remake the file at least twice, as far as I know, of which Herman constantly assisted getting that, and then further on, I've even asked a very good friend of mine in KZN to also assist her. And he was there, going to court with Kim, assisting her financially as well, and also making copies for her of the court file. We went out of our way. Kim is an elderly lady. She's older than 60 years old. But in any event, we went out of our way to accommodate Kim Meren. And this friend of mine, which I trust with unconditionally with my life, told me that he refused to work or assist Kim Meren anymore because she's ungrateful. In some occasions, he sacrificed his time to spend at work and with his family, and he dedicated it to assist Kim. And then, number one, when he arrived at the place, she was always late. So at that point in time, we decided, you know what, Kim is a loose cannon. The moment when you start giving instructions what to do and how to do it, and she turns around and do totally walk in the opposite direction, then that person is actually abusing your efforts and your time that you could have spent free of charge helping someone other in need. So what we didn't know was that Kim Meren have decided to, while Herman was assisting her, and he got his friend Advocate Jennings to also assist pro bono in a very important case, she decided to also communicate at the back with Mr. Johann Roodt. Now, so Johann Roodt had the thing in for Herman Dormel. They used to be very good friends. They used to speak and communicate with one another for up to an hour or so at a time, as I have been informed by both of them. Occurred before. And so Herman and Johann Roodt were in constant communication before, and they became friends, and they met each other time or what on per occasion as well, one-to-one. And the relationship between Johann Roodt and Herman specifically came to an abrupt end when Johann Roodt, myself, and Herman had a meeting a couple of months back at a restaurant in Pretoria North, in Montana specifically. And at that occasion, Johann Roodt informed me and Herman that he wanted to approach the Hawks head, Lieutenant General De Beer, who apparently verbally mandated him and another guy by the name of Isak Dievenage to investigate sophisticated corruption cases and crimes. So I was always finding that story very hard to swallow, because such an important task will never be done verbally. So I knew that there was something not kosher with this entire matter, but I've accepted, just like all of you, accepted the word of Johann Roodt because he was going in the right direction. We wanted him to go, pursuing the criminals. So at that meeting in Pretoria a couple of months ago, Johann said that he's going to ask General De Beer to appoint him, listen to this, as a major general in the Hawks. And then he can be in charge of all these important criminal cases that he's pursuing against the banks and the legal fraternity and the courts and the judges. And so he did exactly what we wanted to hear. But at that occasion, Herman, also having a background in intelligence, he told Johann at that stage, Johann, you are mad. You've lost your marbles. Do you really want us to believe that General De Beer in the first instance would appoint you, who has got no background or training in either police work, investigation work, or the likes, to be appointed as a major general and head all these investigations? And that was the point when Herman said to him that he was bonkers to believe that would be possible. And the further thing, Herman also pointed out that he would become the very person we are fighting against, because we know that the Hawks have been infiltrated. We know that they are part and parcel of the criminal network. And to be inside, you'd have to comply with their instruction. So you'd become a problem for what we are all trying to expose. And it would become, and what he was saying, Herman specifically said, that Johann, you are trying to pull all us in to a situation where we are basically going to be set up to be charged eventually for some serious crimes, whether it's going to be for treason or for terrorism, whatever, and we are not prepared to take that route. And I've confirmed to Johann Roodt then, sorry, I don't believe that you are doing the right thing. So Johann basically felt betrayed, in inverted commas, for the fact that Herman told him that he was bonkers because of that. And this is something that, as our policy is, I'm prepared to verify on a polygraph test. And I invite Johann Roodt to confirm that meeting and to confirm that this conversation did not occur during that time. But in any event, so that has left Herman on the hit list of Johann Roodt. On very couple of occasions, Johann Roodt, and he pulled in other friends, other supporters of Liberty Fighters Network in trying to come to the point to get back at Herman. So he tried to persuade other supporters of us and a mutual friend of ours also that apparently Advocate Jennings and Herman Dormel made some sort of deal with Strauss Daily attorneys, the attorneys for Standard Bank, and they threw Kim underneath the bus because there was what happened was that Advocate Jennings said that this case must go. At some stage, it used to be, as I understand, in the High Court, and somehow it went to the Magistrates Court, and then they pursued their case there. And Advocate Jennings said that we need to get this case back to the High Court so that we can ask the court for relief to declare the entire process is followed, to sell Kim Meren's property as suspected fraudulent, and that the court need to refer the matter to the Director of Public Prosecutions and also to the Legal Practice Council in respect of how far Strauss Daily attorneys have been involved in that. But in any event, so the deal was, or the arrangement was at that point in time, that Standard Bank would agree to withdrawing all the cases against Kim Meren in the Magistrates Court, and for the matter to then be transferred to the High Court, and also they would have consented to a rescission of judgment, but in turn, Kim would have paid or had to pay the costs incurred, which was around, as I can establish, 80,000 rand. We've concurred to paying or to the cost order of around 80,000 rand, or Jennings did that on behalf of Kim Meren. Because of the fact, not that Kim would be paying that specifically, she does not have any assets besides the house that she's fighting for, and or other income as such. So in any case, she would be unable to pay it, and then those monies would have been put on her bond account, which eventually would be written off. So it all makes sense. So it wasn't or Kim was thrown underneath the bus, but Kim's then didn't understand that, and in her habit of not following procedures and listen to what we had to say, she had been in constant communication with Johann Roodt, to the extent that Johann Roodt pitched up and he started accusing Herman and Jennings of corruption and collusion, because Johann Roodt does not understand one bit of civil process. And I doubt whether he actually knows what is actually going on in criminal investigations as well, in criminal cases too, because of what I'm going to say now, later. But in any event, so he started attacking, making wild accusations against Herman and Jennings. He was, between me and Johann Roodt, we had to meet on the 9th of November at that very place where Herman Roodt and I, a couple of months back, had that other meeting where Johann said that he wants Lebeya to appoint him as a Major General. But in any event, instead of waiting until the Friday so that he and I can speak and talk about his accusations, on the Thursday, he sent out an email and bombarded and spammed several other people with specifically mentioning Liberty Fighters Network's name, CC to me. He sent it to Herman's official Liberty Fighters Network email address, and he made wild accusations of collusion and corruption leveled at Herman and Advocate Jennings. So he was a very well-known, and he is a very well-known person, professional in his fraternity. Although we do not support the legal fraternity, and we've shown that we cannot trust them, Jennings was one of the few that we believed was totally above the board. He was willing to sacrifice his own position at that age. He's been an advocate for many years, and in that position, and he was willing to sacrifice his position to eventually, hopefully, become an acting judge. And then once he's inside the system, he would be able to also get the right judgments against banks, etc., etc. But in any case, that will now never happen again because of Johann Roodt and what he did. And so he spammed and he made wild accusations directly implicating the Liberty Fighters Network in it as well. Yes, Herman was and is working as a volunteer in our bank repossession team, and he did it basically on behalf of Liberty Fighters Network. I have always been briefed. I knew exactly what was going on in Kim Meren's case. To make a long story short further, I was highly debliksem. And so I've met with Johann on the Friday, the 9th of November, together with the mutual friend of ours. And when I came to that meeting, I was angry. I felt betrayed. I specifically told Johann Roodt that, you know what, Johann Roodt, and I did use harsh words as an angry, entitled person and as a human being. And I've previously indicated that I do get angry when there are backstabbers and when others, when people are in a position bully others who they know they can just walk over. So those are two occasions where I will not stand still. And I've in no uncertain terms, I've indicated to Johann Roodt, I don't trust you anymore, Johann Roodt. I see that you deliberately and intentionally interfered with a case that we were 100% fully under control of. You have misinformed Kim Meren. You have been the reason why Kim Meren is possibly going to lose or being evicted from her home. We could have, if we followed the correct procedures as planned, and as she would have listened to, we would have had Standard Bank and Strauss Daly attorneys implicated directly in a criminal or corruption matter. And he destroyed it. He destroyed it by interfering. Knowing well that he and I had to have a discussion about that first, he went out and threw Herman and Jennings openly in public under the bus. So I've told him, Johann Roodt, I don't trust you. I believe, from what I have seen now from this entire picture, you are actually the one that's controlled opposition. You are the one who's actually working. You are like a Dr. Reyno De Beer. You actually collect information, all the information that people can use against banks and all the corrupt. And then you say you're going to open criminal case, or you are pursuing 200 criminal cases. But at the end of the day, there's no single court file, no single criminal case that you actually open. Because what he is doing is that because you have to report corruption and theft over 100,000 rand to the Hawks, he has actually spammed Labaya and the Hawks with this information, apparently, to say that I am reporting it by email and you need to investigate it. That's not how it works. You actually have to open a criminal case, and the criminal case about that is then investigated, not by way of now apparently saying that because Liberty Fighters Network is aware of the crime and corruption, if we do not report it, then, this is his movement, that if we do not report it, we will be accomplices in the crime of corruption and fraud. Notwithstanding that, Johann, we are aware of the crime and corruption. We have been identifying that all the time. But you want us to report it. Number one, it should have been reported in the first instance if the theoretical process is followed. It should have been reported by none other than Kim Meren herself. Secondly, it should have then be reported by the magistrates, the attorneys, whatever, who have been involved in the matter before. Those who are reading the court file or must also identify that there's elements of crime and corruption, then they must also have reported it. But now, the ones who's actually assisting her free of charge, not asking anything in return from her, is now the main suspect and is openly being accused of colluding with the bank. And so I've just told him, you know what, you remind me like someone like Reyno De Beer. People see you as a savior. They report all these crime and they listen to you on social media, how you pursue and how you even put on your bulletproof jacket and you a crime fighter. But at the end of the day, you are actually deceiving people by letting them believe that you are actually pursuing 200 criminal cases which have been opened. And yes, in front of the friend of mine, he confirmed that he has not opened any one of them, not even on his own cases. Not even on his own cases. He has opened criminal cases. So he said that he's in the process of opening 11. Number one, why would you then, if you've got the tactic to bombard and spam people with allegations of crime that you want them to report because you are reporting it to them, and the fact that they are not opening the criminal cases, you then, Johann Roodt, go out and accuse them of collusion and corruption as well because you are conspiring to commit corruption also. Can you see the problem, people? And this is exactly what I've said, that many other activists have told me that Johann Roodt actually spams their groups. He comes up with all these notifications that these people have been arrested, and, or today they were motorcycle gangs and they were shooting or something, I don't know what, totally lost, you know. As I've previously indicated, in all the years I'm doing what I'm doing. And many people have said, but Reyno, aren't you scared? I'm fearless, people. Beside that one occasion that I've identified, which was swiftly sorted out, I don't live in fear. I don't have to put on a bulletproof vest because the criminals fear me and us and my team that's backing me at the end of the day. They are fearful of us, not us of them. And as I always say, that people who's playing cloak and dagger, they are criminals themselves. They are inside the criminal system. And the gangs, just like we know in Al Capone's times and with the mafia, it's gangs against gangs. That's how they operate. So if you have to live in fear, it's not because you are the investigator into that and now they're targeting you. No, that's not the case. It's because criminals don't keep their promises to other criminals. And that is when people are being pursued and have to sleep with one eye open. People who live above the board in a total transparent way, like myself, and I believe my people behind me as well, we don't have to live in fear. We don't have to sleep with one eye open. And I've also said before that I believe that God has physically have elected me and appointed me to do what I have to do, and not in a prophetic way. It's just that I feel compelled to do what I do because of the fact that I believe that God and my life have been prepared in such a way to put me in this position I am today. And I'm not putting the Bible underneath my armpits when I'm saying that. And want to encourage you to support us. And I reiterate that it's your decision at the end of the day whether you want to support us or not. You need to be informed of all the relevant facts and make an informed decision. So taking into consideration the method of how Johann Roodt operates and constantly telling people I've arrested or will be arrested, and people, I don't believe it. Sorry, I haven't seen the actual proof that he has succeeded in any of them. And because of what has happened, unfortunately now Johann Roodt has gone on a smearing campaign against myself, against Liberty Fighters Network, and the people in my team. And because I'm not there on social media like he is constantly spamming all these groups, the information spreads and people wonder what is going on with Liberty Fighters Network. From what we hear from Johann Roodt, we must accept Johann Roodt's word for it. People, Johann Roodt is a con artist. And I say that in open, I'm not a hypocrite. He's a con artist. He has lied to each and every one of us, believing in him. Now, what I've done was, and I will show you this proof, as I always say I'm going to do, I have now sent a letter to General Lebeya, Lieutenant General Godfrey Lebeya, and I have asked him to clarify the relationship that he has got with Johann Roodt, Isak Dievenage, and the Hornets Forensic Prosecutions. This letter was sent last week Saturday. That the date was, as you can see, the 18th of November. An answer is expected this coming Monday, the 27th of November 2023. I've also published this one on our Telegram group and on other social media networks so that you can read and understand the problem. And at the end of the day, we are sitting in the position that, you know what, evidence is hard evidence, a witness statement, physical evidence that you can touch, something that you can see on a photo or a video. So evidence, not hearsay. we have started to accept him as a truthful person just by what he's saying to people. And then his spamming of his incoherent emails that he's sending to hundreds of people, trying to give the impression that all those people copied in there are 100% supportive of what they are doing. So he's using hundreds and hundreds of emails that is CC, not BCC. So those people's private information is being circulated by Johann Roodt to the outside community without most probably their consent. So he's trying to persuade people that he's got this massive backing of people supporting what he's doing. And the other thing is the 74 agents and operatives that apparently works with him. People, that's not how they've operated. They will not tell someone like Johann Roodt to be their godfather. They will not simply do it. So people, there's no proof. There's no proof whatsoever that he is what he says he is. He only has got these civil cases of his own that he has been pursuing. And at the end of the day, we need facts. I'm telling you that I have come to the conclusion that Johann Roodt is a con artist. He's not the person he believes or says that he is. And I have challenged him to make his accusations open in public by a live stream, asking me those questions, giving the proof to the people. But I've challenged him to a polygraph test. To say that Johann, let's do this live. You ask me whether I am corrupt and have received any monies from anyone in bribery money. And I will ask you whether you are indeed pursuing 200 criminal cases that have been opened and that you are not on the side of the banks. I want those questions to be asked to him. Because at this point in time, it appears that he's a controlled opposition. I can go on and on and on, and we'll probably have to make follow-up videos about this instance. But I hate it when there's backstabbers. When you are allies, you respect your allies. You don't turn on them. And specifically not when you are given the opportunity to first talk and sort out the issue beforehand to prevent a situation like this has happened, has evolved in. People are unhappy because it appears as if there's no unity in what we do. Yes, there is no unity, people, because of the 10 guiding principles that I've set out in my other video. You cannot be unified in what we do. We can be unified by moving in the same direction, but I can now specifically tell each and every one of you, Johann Roodt is not moving in the same direction than we are. And because we are not moving in the same direction, we have identified him as a suspect. And unfortunately, people have relied on him. People have hoped that he's the real person coming through for them. And unfortunately, from my interaction now with him, especially on the sense that we were allies and could have resolved this before going to the public like he did, and I have to now respond to, indicates that he's not fighting on the same team or on the same side than we are. So people, you make the informed decision. I want to emphasize, an extension was given to, an invitation was given to Johann Roodt. Let's sort this out on a live stream, polygraph test, and he has declined doing that. That's my position. That invitation is still standing, and you'll be the judge. God bless. Until the next time.
Liberty Fighters Network.
Liberty Fighters Network.
Liberty Fighters Network.
Liberty Fighters Network.